And there is scripture throughout that talks about the beauty of God. And Ecclesiastes 3:11 says, He has made everything beautiful in its time. And in Matthew, Jesus said that, why do you worry about your clothes? See how the flowers of the field grow. They do not labor or spin, yet I tell you that not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of these. The beauty that God made in nature. Okay, so my mother was a professional artist, and so she encouraged me. And so as a child, I thought, I'll grow up and be an artist. And I am grateful that I have the gift of creating things, but it takes a lot of practice. And there's a theory that all children are born with the ability to create art, but they're not encouraged properly so that it squashes. But then if adults want to learn art, because doing art is good for you, if you want to, you can do it, but it takes practice. I've had lots of practice. And I have maybe 2/3 of an art degree, but I've had a lot of classes and mentors. So what I like to do is, there is just so much beauty in color and form and composition, but God created it all. And so I'm lucky that I'm not a commercial artist who has to please someone, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. But when we first started coming to this church, let me not knock things over. When we first started coming to this church, I saw Leah and Darby, and I was just like, I want to do a triptych. That's a 3-part painting. And there is another painting that goes in the middle, but she didn't fit on here. So I left her at home because she's not a member of this church. She's the neighbor girl who, I painted her with her long legs wearing her short shorts, so maybe she doesn't belong up here. But it was a triptych. So look at Leah. I just couldn't get over the way that, look at her. It was while there was prayer, and she trusts her base to hold her up, and her base trusts her. You can just see it. I just loved it. Look at the love they have for each other. And then there's an old song, an old country song about Johnny Be Good. He could play the guitar just like ringing a bell. Well, look what Darby does. It was just nothing for her to sing and make beautiful music. So Leah helped me write a story about these. Why the music, it just transports them into beautiful place. This is actually looking from the canal across to the foothills in Boise, but that's where I put them. So when I do art, I want people to stop and see God created this beauty. Whether it's an old grandpa hugging his little, I did one of these, his little baby granddaughter in front of a cow. I mean, that's beautiful. So, this one here, can you see it? A friend of mine posted on the family text, she's my former sister-in-law, a picture of her granddaughter walking this dog. And I go, oh, that's so wonderful. Can I paint the picture? She said, yes. Actually, I was thinking about writing a book because this little granddaughter, she knew both of these dogs since she was a newborn baby. And she loved them, and they just loved her so much. You can see it in all the pictures, and I saw her when she was a toddler, how much she trusted the dogs. Well, there were so many photographs of this little girl and the dogs, but they died. And so the girl's grandma, my friend, wrote a book about grief for children. And there's not many books about grief for children. And the little girl wrote it in her own words, narrated to her grandma. So there was a book written with like 8 of my illustrations. And so this is like a happy one where the dogs got loose on the beach and she couldn't hold them. And the book it's self-published, but it's called When Bella and Bodie Were Alive, something like that. But it's neat, it's in a kid's words, so veterinarian might want to read it. A friend of mine said, Joan, why don't you do a series of paintings that all relate to each other? And I thought, okay, but I don't know what subject. So we were on a trip to California, which, yes, I'm one of those. A long time ago, I was from California. And we were driving on a road with my brother, and I saw this sign. US 395. US 395. Back in my subconscious, when I was a little kid, we would take camping trips, and we'd go up US 395 by Bishop and go camping at Dead Man's Creek. So a lot of times I see pictures in my mind, and then I can paint them because there's a story, and it feels so special because there I was riding in the car, and I could just hear Mom say, well, there's 395. We're on the right road. Okay. This was my Christmas card about 4 years ago. I wanted to do the Sawtooth Mountains, and I was taking lots of pictures while Rick drove, lots and lots of pictures. I forget that highway, but it goes towards Stanley, Lower Stanley. So you're coming from Chalice. And so, snap, I'm taking pictures, and this Jeep photobombed. And you see there's a little cabin here. And then, so I was looking at the pictures, which one of the mountains can I paint? And I go, well, it's a happy Jeep. So this was my Christmas card. And then on every Christmas card, I made a little Christmas wreath on the front of the grill. Okay. This is in Crouch, Idaho, the local mountains. Have you all ever seen it? Up on a hillside, years ago, I said, Rick, stop. I love that building. I don't know what it is. I want to take a picture of it. So I took a picture of it, and I go, I want to go up there and see it. But you couldn't go up there because it was fenced. Private property was up on a hill. So we were taking a drive some years later, and whenever we'd go there, I'd like fantasize, what is that building when we take a country drive up to Crouch, Idaho. And so one day, this was last year's Christmas card. So that year, 2023, the gate was open, and we parked outside the gate, and we walked up the hill. And this woman with 3 little kids in her car said, can I help you? And I go, I love your house, and I'm an artist, and I wanted to see it closer. And so she said, I'll show it to you. So she gave us a tour of her house, and her husband bought this old schoolhouse from like 1900. And they're refurbishing it. And so when I sketched it, I got to sketch it live. It looked like this, except for it didn't have the snow. So she sent me historic pictures and her own pictures of this schoolhouse. So this building that I got to fantasize over, I got to paint it. I got to stand in front of it. So then this happy snowman says, come on. Come. So actually I did 2 of these, and the owner of the schoolhouse, which it's going to be their house, bought the first copy of it. And her little girl named Hazel kept the secret from her daddy for a month. And then they gave it to him for Christmas, last Christmas. Now this one, in my mind, I thought, I want to do a nativity scene where Mary looks Mideastern and where she's exhausted because she's just been in labor and ridden across the country on a donkey. And she's not lovely and Caucasian and shining and well rested. No, she's exhausted and her skin is brown and she's lying in the hay. And so this young teenage girl who grew up in UBC, Jamie, she agreed to pose for me. So for about 2 hours she laid there, and I dropped big pictures in charcoal so I could get used to it. So here's my exhausted Mary with her hand on Jesus. And it's not good enough, in my eyes, to really be Jesus and really be respectful of Mary. But I did the best I could, and it took a long time. And so, I just want to share God's beauty. And aren't I the lucky one that after 34 years of nursing, I need therapy. So I get to paint, and it's really therapeutic. I've had some big grief in my life. I lost a son 7 years ago, unexpectedly. And so I got to see an art therapist. And so there's a whole series of those paintings. And they were pretty good, and I'd kind of see a picture of what I wanted to paint. If you ever want to see those, I'll show them to you, but it might make you cry. But they're not ugly, except for when COVID came, I did a big Tyrannosaurus Rex looking like a COVID virus. But that's so anyways, that's all I have to say.